I was unmuted, and I didn't know that, so you probably heard some amazing singing. Were you thinking angels are here? That's what you were thinking, huh? Like, what is that? Yeah, are you excited to be here today? Okay. Nope. I see some turkey coma. I'm seeing it happen right now. Let's get the tryptophan out right now. So do me a favor, just reach up. Let's shake our hands. Come on. Okay, get Elva. Do that. Don't hit people. Do that. All right? All right, now go like this. I'm giving you ways. This is an actual way to get blood going. Go like this. Hold them sideways. Clench your fist. Okay? Pull them in. Okay? Go like this. And then go gobble, 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 gobble. Yeah! Some of you did it. Okay. Grab your wallets. Offering plate coming around. All right. Well, today, if you have your Bibles, we're going to turn to the book of Psalms. It's going to be in the Old Testament, Psalms chapter 15. I'm so glad that you guys are here with us today. We're continuing our series called Abandoned Virtues. And man, these are just virtues that I feel like we have abandoned, we have left, we have forgotten, we've walked away from. And I believe that God is calling us back to these virtues. And this is a great way, you know, in basketball we always talk about if you never leave the basics, you never have to go back to the basics. Well, today I feel like we need to go back. We need to go back to some basics. Remember the first week we talked about the abandoned virtue of, does anybody remember? Loyalty. Then last week we talked about the abandoned virtue of gratitude. Gratitude. This week we're going to be talking about the abandoned virtue of integrity. Ugh. Already people are like, whoa, wait a minute. That's why I never put out what I'm talking about before, because then you'll start seeing people fall off like, I don't want to go to that. I believe that this is one of the most important virtues, not just for us, but I believe it's very important to God as well. I mean, integrity. Look at your neighbor and say, integrity. And then look at the neighbor you don't love as much and say, you need integrity. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I'll never forget there was a moment, Dee Dee and I went to a convenience store, and I walked in, and I bought something. I think I bought some mints or something. It was before church, and I went up and paid. It was $2 and something, and she gave me the change, and as I'm walking out, I'm walking to the door, and I'm looking at the change. I gave her a 5, and I'm walking out, and as I put the coins in my pocket, and I'm walking, I look, and I see a 5 and 20s in there. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So I did what any good Christian did. I said, thank you, Jesus, for the manna from heaven. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, she's probably going to get in trouble for this. And so I turned around and I went back to her and I said, I think something was wrong here. I gave you a 5, and she was like, oh my goodness, she was so thankful. And you won't believe this, but I did this before, and I actually had to pay it out of my own pocket. And now they told me the next time I do this, I got to pay it out of my own pocket, and I'm going to be fired. I've got 2 kids at home. They're little. I'm trying to do the best I can. Thank you so much. And I'm like, wow, okay. And she was just like blown away, like, I can't believe it. Like, you brought the money back. And I'm like, yeah. And then I got to the door, and I heard her say, I can't believe you brought the money back. And it's tragic that we live in a world that's more shocked by integrity than they are the lack of integrity. It's tragic when people are more shocked by someone who does the right thing than they are by someone who doesn't do the right thing. Why is that? You know, if you look, just turn on the news. I'll tell you how. Just turn the news on. And you look at story after story about athletes that we put on pedestals, and then all of a sudden you see this huge lack of integrity. People we respected have now fallen, and we're saying, well, we're shocked again. Here we go again. Or we look at politicians who say something and do something totally different. And we're like, whoa, and we're like, we're just so shocked. And let's call it for what it is. There's Christian leaders. There's pastors, ministers, evangelists that have said one thing and have left a completely different. They've lived a double life. And that breaks my heart. I've lost two pastors that I've loved deeply to lack of integrity. And it just breaks my heart because our ethics become subject to our egos, not the other way around. That's good preaching, Scott. Amen. Let's do this real quick. We're just going to build a working definition for integrity. It's simple. If you're taking notes, this is really simple. Write this down. Integrity, when your behavior matches your beliefs. It's an integrated lifestyle. Integrated integrity is when what you say lines up with what you do. It's when your private life matches your public life. Someone said integrity is what you do when no one is looking. Now, that's different than reputation. Reputation is who other people think you are. Your integrity or lack of integrity is who you really are. It's when your behaviors line up with your beliefs. In fact, in Proverbs 11:3 says, I love this verse. It says, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Ooh. Would you agree, today in our society we see duplicity. We see duplicity among leaders, organizations, these people that claim, right? Are you seeing this? It's tragic when people are more shocked by integrity than they are a lack of. And can I just say, above all, I want us to be truly a people of integrity. I want them to say, no, those people at FBC, they have a high level of integrity. Not just with people around them, but with their families. In 1 Samuel 12, you can look it up, there's this moment that I've always thought about in my head that I want my grandkids, my kids, and myself to be able to do exactly what Samuel did. He stands up in front of everybody and he says, have I lived a life of integrity? If I've wronged you in any way, if I've wronged any of you, or if I've basically done what I didn't say I was going to do, I want to make it right. Free shot. Take a shot. Free shot. Have I done anything? And they all said, no, you've done the right thing. You're a person of integrity. At the end of his life, they looked on and they actually said, you have been a faithful man of God. That's what I want more than anything else. I want by the end of my ministry and my career, when my life is over, to say, free shot, take a free shot. Did I do what I claimed to do? And you may say, well, we didn't like your Brad Pitt jokes. They were kind of stupid. And those of you I'll pray for. But the rest, but you would say, at least you would say, yes, Scott, you were a person of integrity. Your behavior matched your beliefs. And real quickly, briefly, I want to go over a beautiful story in the Bible that really, to me, captures this life of integrity. And it was when David in Psalms 15, he asked God this question. He says, who can dwell in the sanctuary of the Lord? Psalms 15:1. David said, Lord, who may dwell in your sanctuary? In other words, who can enjoy your continual presence? Who can walk with you and fellowship with you? And God basically answers and says, the person who has integrity. Watch how look at verse 2. Lord, who may dwell in your sanctuary? He whose walk is blameless and who does what is righteous, integrity, who speaks the truth from his heart, integrity, who has no slander on his tongue, integrity, who does his neighbor no wrong and casts no slur on his fellow man, integrity, who despises a vile man but honors those who fear the Lord, integrity. I love this part. Who keeps his oath even when it hurts. Even when it hurts, integrity. Who lends his money without usury and does not accept a bribe against the innocent, integrity. He who does these things will never, everybody say it with me, will never be shaken. He who lives a life of integrity, what does it say? You will never be shaken when you live not only according to your beliefs, but more importantly, according to the beliefs and the teachings of God. You'll never be shaken. In fact, for a few moments, I just want to show you real quick, just kind of directly, 4 benefits of the life of integrity. There are many more. There's tons more, but these are my favorite. And for time, I'm just going to knock out 4 real quick. So if you're taking notes, first one, you can walk closely with God. David said, who can dwell in the sanctuary of God? He who has integrity. You can enjoy the ongoing communion and fellowship with the holy God. I like to think of it this way. My kids are here all over the place now. I had grandkids. Did you see my kids and grandkids? Should I have them stand and like you could embarrass them a little bit? Stand up, boys. Stand up. This is my boys right here. Yes. For those of you that don't know, that's Charlie and Chase. You guys have met them. This is Gavin. He's the pastor that I'm always talking about. That's him. So excited that they're here. Also, my beautiful daughter-in-law, Elise, is here, and she's precious. Give her love, too. She has 3 grandbaby boys. She's got boys. I'm like, I don't know how I did it. And then I see her, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, girl. But she does it every day, every moment, and that's amazing. So I'm going to give you props right now. So, yeah. But in this, as I'm going through this process, I started looking at my kids, that I have values and family values that I want them to live according to. And so if you think about it, if I was to say, okay, boys, here's who our family is, this is our family values, here is what we stand for, and they were to say, forget you, Dad, I don't like your values. I don't know who I'm making fun of right there, but one of them is saying, we're going to go do our own thing. We're going to go and live outside the family values. I'll still love them, but it's going to block this intimacy and communion and fellowship with them. Do you get it? You seeing? This is what happens. I mean, when you live according to his values, it seems like it just amplifies the walk with him. Enjoying his presence daily, moment by moment. My goodness. That's number 1. Number 2, you'll have a built-in guide. That's right. You got GPS, God Positioning System. That's what you got. The Bible says that the integrity of the upright guides him. You're not going to have to sit around going, well, I don't really know. This is kind of gray. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know. No, it's going to be black and white. You're going to know it's right or wrong. You're going to have this guide. It's beautiful. Your integrity will guide you. A third thing, this one's important to me personally. Number 3, you'll have a constant peace in your heart. Man, you will have a constant peace. When I put my head on my pillow at night, I don't have to worry and say, oh, man, I wonder if someone finds that out. I wonder if I get caught doing this. You know how it goes? I hope my boss doesn't find out this, or I could lose my job. I hope when you lay down at night, you're not thinking, oh, man, I hope I'm not exposed for doing the thing that I'm doing. And what if my husband finds out that I've been flirting with this other guy? What if my wife finds out that I've been looking at things that I shouldn't be looking at? You don't have to lay your head down wondering over and over about this fear of getting caught, getting found out, being discovered. The flip side is, I don't know anyone who lays awake at night saying, oh man, I hope nobody finds out I did the right thing. Ever hear that? Man, I did the right thing again. It's really going to cost me. I hope they don't find out. You have a constant peace when you do the right thing. Then the 4th thing, you gain trust, respect, honor, and influence. When you live a life of integrity, you will gain trust, respect, honor, and influence. If you want great grandchildren, be a parent of integrity. Be a grandparent of integrity. You want great kids? Be a parent of integrity. You want to be a spiritual leader of your family? Be a husband of integrity. Be a man of integrity. You want to influence a business community? Man, you go in, you be a person of your word. You remember the person of your word? You remember those old days when it was like that? Do you remember when a handshake meant something? Look at where we came from. We've abandoned those virtues. The challenges, though, are so many people aren't, in fact, what they say they are. They are the opposite of integrity. And we've all heard it. You guys know it because we're Christians. What do they say about Christians? Oh, they're just really Everybody, oh, they're just hypocrites. Well, that's the opposite of integrity, is hypocrite. In fact, the Greek word that's translated hypocrite, it very literally means actor. That's what they called them. In Greek plays, I don't know if you remember this, but they would carve out wooden faces, they'd put them on sticks, and they would go and show these different faces, and they would carry all these different ones and have all these different faces. And that's what we do. We go around in life saying, well, this is one person, this is another. And the mask is not really who I am, but it's who I'm pretending to be, which is so common in this world today. I'm going to represent this one person, when in reality, I'm not even that. Let's just call it for what it is. We all have hypocrisies. We all do. In different points in our lives, we have hypocrisies. I'm going to share a bunch of them with you today, so I hope you're ready for it. And you better not hold it against me. You better have a quick, your memory better just erase it. I went to I don't know why I share this stuff with you guys. I went to buy something on Facebook. This was back when it was Craigslist, and it was a long time ago. And I went and I was new to the ministry, just got into it, and I went to this person to buy this, and she was like, "Well, I'm selling," and I can't even remember what she was selling, but I know she wanted $50, and I said, here's the deal, I how about 20? And she said, how about 30? And I said, how about 20? And she said, I can do 30. And I said, can you do 20? Let me tell you something. I'm a pastor. I don't have a lot of money, and I'm just struggling. Right? I got 20. Can you do 20? And she said, all right, fine. My dad was a pastor too, and I know the struggles. I'll do 20. And I said, awesome. And I grabbed my wallet and opened it, and I forgot, and I'd given my boys the 20 for lunch that morning. I only had a 50. Liar, liar, Pastor Scott on. My goodness. Pastor Scott doesn't have integrity, so she did the right thing. She said, how about we settle on 30? And I'm like, that sounds fair. Yeah. All of us at some point or another, we lack integrity. It's often so hard, though, to see it in ourselves. We'll justify it. We'll negotiate it. We'll by our own behaviors, and God despises it. In fact, if you look at Jesus, you'll see that in Scriptures, he was far harder on hypocrites than he was on prostitutes or adulterers or anybody that had all these vile sins. I'll give you an example in Matthew 23:25. And following Jesus looked at the hypocrites and he said, woe to you. Now, whenever Jesus says woe to you, what he's basically saying is you're in so much trouble. You have no idea how bad this is going to be for you. He was pronouncing judgment on them. He said, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee. First, clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside also will be clean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. You play actors. You lack integrity, but you're playing it. You're doing a real good playing it. You're putting on a good game face. You look righteous. You're showing the outside to be clean, but the inside's not. The inside's filthy with sin. He goes on to call them blind Pharisees. In other words, you don't even see it. You are so blind to your own hypocrisy. He says, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be clean. Integrity does not start from the outside in. It starts from the inside out. Be pure on the inside. In the same way, he says, the outside appears righteous. You've got your mask going, but on the inside, you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you who lack integrity. You are full of hypocrisy. It's so easy to do, isn't it? Be honest. It's so easy to put that little mask on and play the game when the inside of the cup and dish is filthy before God. So let me ask you a question. And I want you to think about this question deeply, seriously. This is the question of all questions today I want you to take right now. So I want you to think about it. And I don't want you to answer, I don't want your response to be like in your own mind or what you believe, but I want you to look at your life. How would your actions answer this question? Some of you are like, Scott, you just shut your mouth right now. Here's the question. What is your integrity worth? What is your integrity worth? What is it worth to you? What is your integrity worth? Not just, oh yeah, a lot, Scott. Oh yeah, everything. No. What do your actions say that your integrity is worth? There was a moment, my wife bought a minivan. She bought us a minivan when we had the boys, and we're driving them all over. And I don't know if you know this. Is there any males in here with a minivan? Do you drive a minivan around? Okay, all right, good. If you do have one as a man, for some reason, you become this NASCAR driver in the minivan. You guys have seen it, I'm sure, before. If you're in a minivan, for some reason, you feel like you have to speed and fly along. So I had my boys in the van, and I would say probably 7, maybe you guys were 7. I don't know. They were young, and they were sitting in the back. I'm flying, doing my thing. Cop pulls up behind me, pulls me over, and the policeman gets out. He's walking up to the side. Before he does, I look at the boys, and I'm a strong spiritual leader in my family. And I look back at them, and I say, okay, guys, he's going to walk up. When he does, I'm going to tell him, one of you guys had diarrhea. When we do, who's going to be the one? Because he may say, which one? Let's pick one now. And Charlie says, okay, I'll be the one. And I'm like, okay, Charlie, he's the one. He's the sacrifice, right? We're going to go with Charlie. And so Charlie's the one with diarrhea. Chase, are we good? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, fine. By that time, he walks up and he says, hello, sir. We have this conversation, and I tell him, oh, yeah, one of them's got diarrhea. And he's like, oh, yeah, which one? And Chase and I both point at Charlie. And he's like, all right, you guys can go ahead. And I was like, let's go. And then I turn around and I see both boys looking at me. In that moment, I'm like, what was my integrity worth? $70 ticket? That was what it was worth to show my boys my integrity? That's what it was worth, $70? And then later on, I had to apologize to him, and it was much later on, but it was yesterday. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You're like, I knew I was going to preach this, so I was like, no. Many would say it was much less than $70. I've seen people that lose their job over embezzling a ream of paper from their work. What is your integrity worth? What is it worth to you? Your actions. What are your actions saying it is worth? Maybe you falsified an expense report, and you put something down that was a personal expense, and you put it under business. What is your integrity worth? Maybe you're married, and the finances are tough, and you want this outfit, so you go buy this outfit, and you put it in your closet, and you slide it to the back, and you let a couple of months go by, and then you wear it, and then your husband says, whoa, where'd you get that? And you're like, I've had this for months, just so you didn't lie. Now wait, some of you said I do that, but some of you were like, that's a good idea. That is not a good idea. No. What is your integrity worth? My goodness. I'm not giving you ideas. Some of you might be in business and just maybe overbill just a little bit because I know the client can afford it. Or you cut some corners along the way. Maybe you're with your friends and they don't really know a story, so you exaggerate the story just to be liked. What is your integrity worth? Or maybe it's your spouse and you love her and you honor her, yet you look at impure images all the time. What is your integrity worth? Maybe you're a student or you're just getting a continuing education and there's moments that you're going to take a test. So you think, I'll just cheat a little bit. What's it worth? What's it worth? What is your integrity worth? Not just what you say, but what does your life say that it's worth? There's a guy in the Old Testament, really interesting story. His name is Job. And if you ask Job, what is your integrity worth? He would have said, my integrity is worth more than my life itself. And I'll tell you real quick, let me go through the story. We don't have time to go through all of it, but I'll just give you the synopsis. Lucifer, Satan, was criticizing God's people. And he was saying, they really don't love you. They're just faithful to you because you're good to them. And so God said, no, they're not. They truly love me. And Satan's like, okay, show me one? And God says, here's one. And so Satan says, let's go get him. I'll show you. God says, take your best shot. Strips Job of everything. Strips him of everything that really mattered to him. And his wife turns on him. His friends turn on him. And she says to him, why are you hanging on to your integrity? Why don't you just curse God and die? You big old loser. She didn't say that, but it's translated. His friends even said, you've done something wrong. All these bad things wouldn't have happened if you would have been a person of integrity. Quit claiming you are a person of integrity. And here's what Job says. It's very interesting. Job 27, 5 and 6. He basically says, no matter what you say, I will not deny my integrity. I will maintain my righteousness and never let go of it. My conscience will not reproach me as long as I live. My integrity is worth everything to me. You can take away everything else, but you cannot take away my right to choose to honor God in every way that I live. That's what my integrity is worth to me. It's worth everything to me. What is your integrity worth to you? Have you thought about that? Not a lot of us do. But there's a cost to integrity. Good or bad, there's a cost. I'll tell you a story that really impacted me years ago. I was a basketball coach years and years ago. And I was with a coach that oh my goodness, I love this guy. He died of Lou Gehrig's disease, and I only got to coach with him a couple of seasons. In those two, I learned more about life and God and those things that I should have been learning about way more than basketball. This guy was an amazing coach. And he walked out of the gym one day, and our star player is out there smoking a joint. And he sees him. So he talked to him. The kid walks away. He comes back into me, and he says, hey, Eli, I just caught Eli out in the back smoking a joint. I sent him home. What do you think we should do? And I said, well, here I'm thinking, okay, first off, he's the second leading scorer in the district. He's averaging like 30 points a game. I'm like, we do not go to state. We lose him, we don't go to state. So I begin to negotiate in my head. I come up with this brilliant plan, thinking I got the coach right where I want him. I said, I have an idea. Why don't we let the players vote? I mean, I know we had a policy of integrity for the players and students. Let's let them vote. And he said, Scott, you disappoint me. I'll never forget it. He said, I let him go already. I kicked him off the team. I just wanted to see what you would say. And he said, Scott, if you have integrity, it's all that matters. And if you don't have integrity, it's all that matters. That stuck with me. That messed me up. I'll never be the same after that. What does it cost? I have a mentor who's gone through something very similar. He shares a story. He's a tennis coach. He was in the past. He had a moment where he was teaching some kids how to play tennis, and he said he got up there, and what he would do is he would get a lead, and it would normally be, he'd go to 10, and he'd normally be 0 to 8, and then he would let them catch up, and then he would stomp them into the ground from 8 to 10. He was very kind. And so he said what he did is he always bet his very expensive racket. He had a tennis racket, very expensive. And so he had this racket, and he's beginning to play this kid, and they're going back and forth. Well, he lets him get up 8-8, first one to 10. And then he gets up and he hits a shot. The kid hits it, the ball hits the net and just rolls over and down the net. And the kid starts going, 9-10, 9-10, one more, I get your racket. And he's like, he said some things that weren't very Christian-like in his head. And he's like, you ain't getting away with that again. Next shot, kid hits it. Same thing. 10-10, I win, give me your racket, give me your racket. So he stood there and he said he began to think about this and he began to negotiate. And he's like, I could give him a cheap old wooden racket and just say, well, I didn't say which one of my rackets I was going to give you. So here's this one. He was thinking all this thing, and he said this kid's annoying voice was going on in his head. And so he hands him the racket. He says, enjoy it. We'll come back to that. What do you do when you recognize that you lack integrity? What do you do? First of all, you get to know Jesus. You truly know him, not from a distance. I just don't want to study about him, but know him personally. Personally, I mean a relationship with him. You want to begin this life of integrity, get to know him personally. Because I can tell you right now, you can never live a life of integrity on your own. It's too hard. Because you and I are bent towards sin. We have to have him in our lives. You have to get to know him. Truly get to know him and just start to live with him. Start to live with him. And then next, I would suggest, this one's tough, I know, but that you would apologize to those around you, people around you that you maybe have misrepresented yourself to. I had to do that. I had to talk to my boys about that. I had to set this straight. If I had not done that, I would be living this life of hypocrisy. I would have been a play actor. You have to say, will you forgive me? You need to talk to them and say, please forgive me. You need to go and say, for years I've done this, whatever it takes. And they may not trust you yet because you're going to have to rebuild or maybe even build for the first time a life of integrity. And then you just simply start doing what Jesus said, very simply. He said in Matthew 5:37, he said simply, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. You become a person of your word as Christ lives through you. It's that simple. You let your behavior line up with your belief. Not just your beliefs, more importantly, they line up with God's beliefs. My goodness, line up with God's beliefs. When you do, you walk with God. You have this built-in guide. You have this peace. And you will gain honor, trust, respect, and influence from those around you. That's where you have to start. You have to take off that stupid little mask. Bring the real you and let God do work. Because it really does matter. All right, now back to the racket. He talks about this in his sermon. I didn't tell you he was a pastor. I'll never forget it. He said he had a guy come up to him after one of his sermons and was waiting for him in the back. And so he walks out and he begins to talk to him. And the guy starts telling him, he could tell something was going on with this guy. There's this this aura. When somebody receives Christ, you're like, man, something's going. I can see it on you. Like it's like, whoa. And he saw it on him, and he's like, wow. He's like, I received Christ today. I received Christ. I was listening to what you said, and I just received Christ. He goes, that's amazing. He goes, you don't know who I am, do you? And he said, you look familiar, but I don't. And he said, years ago you used to teach tennis. And he was like, you have my racket. And he said, no, that's not me. It's not me. I don't have your racket. But I was watching with all the other boys, and we all were talking and saying, there's no way you were going to give him your racket. And when you did, I thought, if you were honest then, you're honest now. And so what you were talking about Christ, I believed every word you said, and that's why I received Christ today. The way I see it, at that moment, it just sank in for him. Like, never ever described. When you have integrity, that's all that really matters. And when you don't have integrity, don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. You're not going to have a good marriage. You're not going to be a good parent. You're not going to be a good friend, because if you don't have integrity, that's all that matters as well. And it is tragic, please, it's tragic that we live in a world that's more shocked by integrity than it is by the lack of integrity. As far as we are concerned here at FBC, as far as I am concerned for my family, we will not be that way. We will live an integrated life under the lordship of Christ, and our behaviors will, by the power of the Holy Spirit, line up with our beliefs. God's word and his help, we will be a people of